Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to tackle something that can be a real headache in Flutter. I'm talking about routing. But don't worry, I've got a fantastic package to show you. It's called Unrouter, and its whole deal is making your life easier by being super flexible.
All right, let's be real for a second. If you've built any kind of serious Flutter app, you've been there, right? The navigation just starts to feel tangled. You're juggling routes, trying to pass arguments, deep links are a mess. It can feel like your app is tied in knots. It's a super common problem. And that really gets to the heart of the issue, doesn't it? We're all looking for that perfect routing solution. Something simple enough to get started quickly, but powerful enough that it won't hold you back when your app gets more complex. It's a really tough balance to find.
Well, that's exactly where Unrouter steps in. Its entire philosophy is built on two words: flexibility and simplicity. The whole idea is that it should adapt to how you want to build your app, not force you into a box.
So, what does that really mean in practice? Well, Unrouter is packed with features. We're talking declarative routes where everything's in one central place. You've got widget-scoped routes for making your code super modular. You can even mix and match them with a hybrid approach. And on top of that, you get all the good stuff like nested layouts, navigation guards for security, route blockers, and even a history API that feels just like a web browser. It's the whole package.
All right, let's really get into the meat of it because this is the key to Unrouter's flexibility. It doesn't lock you into just one way of doing things. Instead, it gives you 3 different ways to set up your routes. That means you get to pick the approach that makes the most sense for your app.
So here you can see the 2 main ways of thinking. On the one hand, you've got the declarative style. Think of this like the blueprint for your whole app. Every single route is defined right there in one central file. Super clean, great for apps where you have a clear top-down structure. Then, on the other hand, you have widget-scoped routing. This is totally different. The routes live inside the widgets they belong to. This is a game changer for building modular apps, where a whole feature can manage its own navigation internally.
And here's what that declarative style looks like in action. It's super straightforward. You just create your Unrouter and give it a list of routes. Unrouter calls them inlets. See how simple this is? The home page is at the root, and the about page is at /about. Everything's right here. Easy to read, easy to manage.
Now, let's flip to the widget-scoped approach. Check this out. Inside the products page widget itself, we're defining the routes for the product list and for a specific product detail page. The navigation logic lives with the UI. This is huge. It means this whole products feature is totally self-contained. You could have a team work on just this feature, and then you could literally copy-paste it into another app, and the routing would just work. No messing with global config files. How cool is that?
But here's the best part. What if you want a little of both? Well, you can. And that's the magic of the hybrid approach. Unrouter lets you define your main app-wide routes in that central declarative way, but then it'll look for widget-scoped routes for more specific features. It's kind of a declarative first approach with a widget-scoped fallback. You get the best of both worlds, which gives you so much control.
Okay, so that's the basics of how you define your routes. Pretty cool, right? But now let's talk about the real power-ups. The stuff that takes this from a cool idea to something you'd actually use in a production app. I'm talking about guards and blockers. These are what you'll use to build really solid professional user experiences. But before we dive into those, it's good to know how Unrouter actually matches the paths. And the great news here is, if you've ever done any web dev, this is going to look super familiar. You use a colon for a parameter, like users/ID. A question mark makes part of the path optional. And the asterisk is a wildcard that just matches, well, everything after it. It's simple, it's powerful, and you probably already know how to use it.
So first up, what exactly is a navigation guard? The best way to think about it is like a bouncer or a security checkpoint for your app's routes. Before a user is allowed to go to a new page, your guard function gets to step in and say, hang on a second. It can then decide to allow them through, stop them completely, or send them somewhere else.
The flow is really simple. Step 1, the user tries to go somewhere. They click a link, or you call navigate in your code. Step 2, boom. The guard intercepts that request. It gets all the info about where they're trying to go. And finally, step 3, the guard makes a decision. It returns a result. And that can be, yep, let them through, nope, stop right there, or actually send them over to the login page instead. And here's what that looks like in the code. This is the absolute classic example, right? Protecting routes that require a user to be logged in. You just add this guards list to your router. Inside, there's a function that checks, hey, is the user signed in? If not, boom, we return a guard result.redirect and send them off to /login. If they are signed in, we just guard result.allow. It's a super clean and effective way to lock down parts of your app. Okay, so that's guards. Now for the other power-up, the root blocker.
This solves a totally different but just as important problem. You know when you're filling out a long form and you accidentally hit the back button and you lose all your work? Yeah, a root blocker is what prevents that from happening. And implementing it is surprisingly easy. You just wrap the widget you want to protect, like this settings form, in a route blocker widget. Now, when the user tries to go back, that on-will-pop function gets called. Inside there, you can pop up a dialog that asks, "Are you sure you want to leave? You have unsaved changes?" It's such a simple thing to add, but it makes for a much, much better user experience. Okay, so we've gone through the different ways to define routes, and we looked at those awesome power-ups like guards and blockers. So the big question now is, how hard is it to actually get this up and running in my own project? And I'm happy to tell you, it's incredibly easy. Getting started is literally seconds of work. You just pop open your pubspec.yaml file, add this one line for Unrouter under your dependencies, and run Flutter pub.get. That's it. You're ready. And look, this is all you need for a basic setup. You create your Unrouter instance. Here we're just using a couple of simple declarative routes for the home and about pages. Then in your main function, you use material app.router and pass that instance to the router config. That's the entire setup. Your app is now running on Unrouter. So when you put it all together, from that central declarative setup to the super modular widget scoped routes, plus the safety net of guards and blockers, Unrouter really does deliver on that promise of flexibility and simplicity. It gives you the power to build your app's navigation the way that makes sense for you. So that just leaves one question, really. What kind of awesome, powerful, and flexible user flows are you going to build with